Howdy, Fellow Bart here, and welcome. You're gonna have to please forgive me. I recorded a nice video showing my progress as I was doing it, and yeah, about 30 minutes of video got corrupted somehow, and I had to come back in and start from scratch. And instead of actually coming back in and deleting everything that I just did in the last 30 minutes of video, um, I'm just going to pick off from where I am now and explain to what I did. In the last video, we made a update to our landscape material and added in a kind of a half-assed road texture. No biggie, it works. And then we created a tool to help us size the distance between our sidewalks by creating a BSP geometry that is 1000 by 1000 in size and about 50 or 100 high. And we can use that now as we need to in case we get screwed up somewhere down the line. We can use that as a sizing tool to judge the gap between sidewalks so we have a uniform road system. So yeah, what ended up happening was the video getting corrupted has caused me to lose all the progress up to this point. But we did create a new map. It is called Level 01, and we're using the Polypixel freebie pack, which I also explained in the video. Even though it says it's not available for 4.18, we still made it work anyway by selecting a 4.17 version. So hopefully that'll get you caught up to date here. And so we don't have any issues with our weapons not showing up or anything else. There was one little trick that I did that's not necessary, but I did it anyway. You could actually use the project's default debug keys, but what I did was I came into the project files, save folder, save game, and I just come in here and I delete the save game file. And that is going to be inside your Unreal projects, which is where I save my project to. And inside there is a saved folder and saved games, or save games. Okay, like I said, it's not necessary, but I did it. It allows me to now have no inventory, so I don't have to worry about anything. I can just come in here and walk. One of the things about using this asset pack is these walls, when you first place them down, you can just walk right through them. And yeah, that was no bueno. So I went into the actual freebie pack, into the meshes folder, located the building level modular bottom. I double clicked on it, and for now, the quick way, it may not be the best way, but I changed the collision complexity to utilize complex collision as simple. Hit save and done, and now you can use these as they're intended. And what I was doing at this point was just working on creating the map, but since we already have this far, to make the video interesting so I can at least show something usable, we're going to create a foliage system and also create a wall. This is one way of keeping your players from falling out of the world. Just create a BSP geometry to match the size of the width, and made it 100 wide or 50 wide or whatever, just so it looks like we got a brick wall, something that keeps us locked inside the boundaries of the map. Alrighty, so as we're looking through our meshes, we have a tree, one tree. Now, if you've got other asset packs you want to bring in and have all sorts of trees and lovely stuff, feel free, knock yourself out. But what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to go into the foliage editor, and all I have is the one tree, so I'm going to drag it into here. It says drop foliage here, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to left click, I'm going to drag it over, and I'm going to drop it into the foliage folder. It's going to have to recompile shaders, but what we're going to have to do is experiment with, because when we get to this later part, we want to have some trees, maybe a forest or whatever. And, well, if we just try to use it now, Yikes. It's just going to put right off the get-go one big blob of trees. So we don't want that. So when we click on it, you'll see that there's 0 of them in the map. We come down to painting, density. Foliage instances will be placed at this density specified in instances per 1,000 by 1,000 units area. 100. So let's actually drop that down to 10 and see how that looks. Well, it's a bit more realistic. It's not overdone, and you can just sit here and paint. I'm going to undo that. So we can just see, I can just grab it and just paint with the brush. And then if we decide to go in, walk around. Hey, look, we have trees. It generated shadows on their own. We haven't had to do our lighting yet. Currently, right now, you can walk through the trees. We can fix that as well. So if you want to prevent people from walking through the trees, then that's easy enough to do. So what I'm going to do is get rid of the trees we have now. Radius. The minimum distance between, let's try, I don't know, 50. And we want to have uniform scaling. No, not really. So what we want to do is 0.5 to 2.5. Might be a little bit much. So what that's going to do is it's going to 1.5. It's going to generate random versions of that tree. So as we're painting our trees, you can see we have various different sizes, and it looks a lot more natural. And then we're going to look for collision, and we want to block all. And now let's hit play again. Let's walk over to our new forest. So at least in this video, since I lost 30 minutes of content, we can at least see that we can now generate a forest, and the trees will stop us from moving. So we actually have to walk around the trees, which is good. This is what we want. And I think that actually looks really good. I'm not going to keep those trees there, but we now have at least a foliage editor. So we can actually go through and go ahead and select Save All. So now we have a way of painting trees in as we need to. I'm not actually going to put them in yet until I'm ready to put trees down, but I thought I would show you guys how to do that. Keep in mind that you want to build your layout for your map. Have an idea of what your map is going to look like before you start placing things down. I'm just kind of making it up as I'm going along because I'm that kind of weirdo. But to simplify, what I've done is I've added one extra this way so that I can add sort of an alley effect. And I want to grab all of these on this side. And I'll do the same thing. And I'm just doing a control left click. So that I can get not just the sidewalks, but I want to go ahead and grab the buildings as well. And now what I can do is Control C and Control V, and I can move this whole block over. And the reason why I've done that is I want to create an alleyway between the buildings. Didn't really care as much on the width, as long as it was more than enough for a character to get through. Now we can actually have an alleyway to go through, and we're good to go. And all we need to do now is just fill that alleyway. And we have created a copy of that. What we'll end up doing is we'll make a copy of all these on this side, and we'll drag it over. But I want to go ahead and move my tool out of the way. But to make sure that we keep everything the way that we had before, what I want to do is I want to Control C and Control V, and I want to extend this by 1. I'll do that on this side as well, and I might as well do both because I'm going to end up doing both. Alright, so now what I want to do is grab all of this stuff, and once we've got all of these selected, then we can go ahead and Control C, Control V, copy and paste, and move an entire city block. And then we'll come back down here and get a better view of it, line it up, and there we go. Now we can go ahead and Control C, Control V, drag another one over here. This lets you duplicate large amounts of stuff all at one time. And since we need to close off this end, we need to grab this. And I'm just going to drag this one block over, so you get an idea of how we're able to move entire blocks all at once. Now, if you want to populate the entire thing as symmetrical buildings all the way across, then you go right ahead. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab and finish off this block here. I want to make sure I grab the building and the floor. Once you've got this done, you can actually select this entire block system right here and copy that all over at one time. But I just want to show this way. And yes, we didn't have that other sidewalk section, but that's not a problem. And there we go. We can now just come in here, grab this one, Control C, Control V, and it should fit perfectly in between there. So all we need to do now is just continue our roads, painting our terrain in. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and finish up this by showing the painting one more time. Let's see here. We need this building. So we need one here. And once I drop this one in, I'll go ahead and show painting, and we'll call it quits on this video. And in the next video, we'll actually show some more usable stuff. Map making, leave that entirely up to you. You can make your maps however you want, but I don't want to bore you to death. We want to continue to make this into our own game, so we need to start covering some more of the game-related stuff. So now all we're going to do is just paint our road, and we'll get ready for the next video. Again, I apologize for skipping out on so much stuff, but I don't know what happened. I got a memory error saying that I didn't have enough memory to, I guess, compile the video. And then there was another error that came up with it, and I ended up just said I was missing content, and you know what, screw it. So that's all we're doing, is just going to come in and paint this little bit of roadway. But it does suck that I lost out on 30 minutes of video. And I know that watching people build maps is probably not the most fun thing in the world. So that's why I didn't want to do a whole lot of map building on camera, is because you'd end up falling asleep and getting bored. And I'm boring enough to watch as it is. You don't need to fall asleep watching me paint streets. So, if you have any suggestions on things we can do to add into our game, let me know in the comments. But what I'm trying to do is keep it as simple as possible for right now and not add any asset packs that require you to pay for them. If I do, then I'm just going to use ones that I've already got. Um, I've got weapons that I can use from uh, other asset packs, and that would be cool. But I just want to show you that you can get started with the system at hand and go from there. So let's go ahead and just take a look at what we have, and we'll start getting set up to actually make some content. We'll use this as a temporary place for doing whatever. So we have streets, we have buildings we can enter. No, I didn't put a roof on them yet because I'm not ready to put a roof on. I want to vary the height of the buildings, change the looks a little bit. Now, we'll have to come up with something for the actual alleyways, simply because the building is just a little bit above ground level, and the sidewalks are just a little bit above ground level because they taper down to the ground. So we're going to have to come up with something to fill that spot, whether it's a BSB geometry or something, or just whatever. We'll come up with a way of making that work. And no, I'm not going to worry about putting down additional stuff like the sign, the newspaper box, fire hydrants, bus stops. We'll worry about dressing it up later. We just want to get the main function of the map laid out, and in short term we can start throwing in some other stuff as well. We don't want to throw any NPCs in. We don't want to engage in combat because we don't have any weapons yet. But that's something we can do, is actually go ahead and create one of these buildings to be a place for you to pick up your weapons. I think that's what we'll do in the next video. So sorry for boring you to tears, and we'll see you in the next video.